Science, the subject data mining and data warehousing introduction, which is going to see now. Today the introduction part we are going to see. Introduction to data mining, module 1. We are going to see in this class introduction to data mining, why we need data mining, knowledge discovery database. Data mining is a process of extracting and mining the knowledge from large amount of data. Data mining is collection of techniques for an efficient automated discovery of previously unknown, valid, novel, useful, understandable patterns in large database. The patterns must be actionable, so they may be used in an enterprise decision making. Why data mining? We are living in the world of vast amount of data age, which these data are collected on daily basis. Terabytes or petabytes of data pour into the data warehouse. This exponential growth of data, this voluminous, needs mining to discover hidden information. Automated discovery of unknown patterns in a large volumes of data. These patterns must be valid, novel, useful and understandable. Businesses are mostly interested in discovering the past pattern to predict the future behavior. For example, if you are going to purchase a particular product, the business communication people are going to combine the two different products together. So, these discovery of the interesting pattern, these products is being advertised by the business warehouses. For example, coffee powder with sugar or milk with coffee powder. These discovering patterns might be useful for arranging the shelves to attract the customers. A data warehouse is going to be discussed later, which can also be a huge enterprise memory. The data mining can provide intelligence using this mining process. Some terminologies used in this data mining. You can imagine that it's a pyramidal structure of these 4 different terminologies. The base of the pyramidal structure is called data. The upper layer of the base data is information. The next upper layer is knowledge. The top cone will be wisdom, where in the pyramidal structure the data is nothing but a raw information, which means that, for example, we can say that it is a PIN code. PIN code is nothing but a number. This number is called a data. When we process this data, that is the number, then it has to be finding out that it is an information called an data. Then this information, which is being available in a data warehouse, applying the different techniques on this information to extract the useful patterns for the business enterprises. The information is processed, which gives a knowledge. The knowledge which can be used to promote the business enterprises, finding the new patterns, and you can apply for the prediction also. The next upper layer, that is the cone layer, which is called as an wisdom. When the knowledge is being processed, the topmost criteria is the wisdom. The wisdom which is being available as an processing of a knowledge. These terminologies is the basic terminologies going for this data mining and data warehousing subjects. We frequently speaking about the data, information, knowledge. The data is a raw information, information is a processed data, knowledge is processed information, and these three terminologies is frequently used in data mining. Next, why data mining? The purpose of data mining is we are living in the huge data information explosion era, that is growth in generation and storage of a corporate data which is huge, and the need of sophisticated decision making techniques can be applied to the database systems in data warehouses, available in data warehouses. To extract the data, we are using the methodologies called online transaction processing, knownly OLTP, and when you do the analytical process of your corporate data, we will use the techniques called online analytical processing, called as OLAP. Technology must be cheaper in storage, easier to collect the data, best database management systems to analyze these data and understanding and finding the new patterns from this data sets. Some of the sophisticated applications of modern enterprises, which include, for example, sales forecasting and analysis, marketing and promotional planning, business modeling, and these application areas are the examples of the enterprise. Next, data sources. Already we have seen that we are having a huge data set is being generated, a gigantic data sets which include all these data sources. Every one of a data source will consider for huge data creation centers, sales, promotions and transaction. For example, Amazon.com or Flipkart will be the huge data sets is created on daily basis. We are been purchasing the different products from these sites. For each product we are visiting a number of products in through sites. So this is also be the one sort of data generation portion. Next is stock trading. We know that NSE as well as BSE stock exchanging houses, all these stock exchanging houses which always consider the huge data and creates the huge data from this NSE as well as BSE trading companies. So next is the weather data. The weather data will be generated each and every minute. The weather is being changed. So we are finding the data from the weather information, either the humidity or the wind process, the climate and the direction of the air. Based on this, the weather data is going to be processed to predict for the alert. Next data source will be credit and debit card transaction. All purchases of the common people will be carried out by credit card or debit card transaction. So every time while we are swiping our credit cards, the huge transaction, bank transaction, purchase transaction and billing transactions occur. That is also the another huge data source is being creating the data. Customer product feedback. We know that each and every time we are going for visiting the Amazon.com site or Flipkart site to purchase the product. After receiving the product, we are been giving the feedback for the particular product, how it is been useful. We are giving the star rating for the particular product. So in such a area also, huge amount of customers, huge amount of products is being giving their feedback. That is also be one of a big data source. The next is a medical and health industry. So in medical and health industry generates tremendous amounts of data from medical records, patient monitoring and medical imaging. Each and every medical health industry will generate huge amount of information about their patients. Next, telecommunication networks. A global backbone of telecommunication networks carry tons of petabytes of data traffic every day. So through the internet traffic, we are having huge amount of data is being transferring between each and every internet sockets. Billions of web searches supported by search engines process tons of petabytes are also generated in daily basis. For example, each and every time we are visiting to Google, where we are putting in a query in the Google, that will pick up a queries and they will answering it for the queries. So the search engine, each and every time the search engine is been picking up a huge amount of data must be posted to the request. So that is also the huge data source which can be produced a tons of data. Next huge area is communities and social media. We know that usage of social media is high in today's scenario. So increasingly we are having important data sources which producing a digital pictures, videos, blogs, web communities and various kinds of social networks which generates a huge amount of data. There is a necessity in these data sources to do the data mining for finding out patterns can be useful for business applications. The next topic we are seeing it, knowledge discovery from data, usually which is called as KDD process. And this diagram explains about how the data is been fetching it from your database to the knowledge. These are all different stages where we are finding out the knowledge. The data will be available in databases, which will be shown in this picture as a cylindrical base. Next, the data will be fetched to databases from the flat files. The flat file is nothing but the row and column of a table. So the table contains the information. These information may be posted to the databases when we collected in the huge size. When the databases will contain a particular storage which increases in their size, it moved slightly to data warehouse where it can be kept for the future purpose, future references. So when we want to process the data available in data warehouses, we have to apply a different data mining techniques. This data mining techniques which cannot be used to the whole data available in data warehouse. Particularly, they want to choose the particular, according to the task, a particular column or the row has to be chosen for your mining purpose. So not only the selection but also the transformations will be carried out on the data from the data warehouse, then it has to be used for mining, data mining. Here, before we are going for the moving the data to data warehouse, the data to be cleaned, which means that no dirty data will be available. That is, a noisiness should not be available in the warehouse. So, the data to be cleaned. Then only we can move it into data warehouse. According to the data mining application, the task will be issued by the mining techniques which fetches the data from data warehouses to answer for the task, where the particular data will be selected and it needs to be transformed what the task which required. Then it moves from the applications of a data mining, it discovers some pattern. The pattern will be either the bar chart or the pie chart or some information that has to be produced from the applications of data mining. After finding these patterns, it needs to be presented properly to the business houses for evaluating and presenting for the quick reference. That is the beauty of this data discovery from this data mining process. At last, the knowledge is going to be mined. So, actual mining is digging the data from a database that has to be applied through data mining, and the knowledge is readily available for applying the business proposals. So, this is the process where your knowledge is discovered from the data warehouses. Next, knowledge discovery from data. There are 7 different steps which is being possible for the knowledge discovery. The first step is data cleaning. Data cleaning is nothing but to remove the noise or dirtiness available in the data, which means that inconsistent, irrelevant, incomplete data is available in the data that has to be removed. The next step is data integration, where integrating the data which is being generated from different data sources has to be stored in data warehouse. Integration, which means that you combining the data from different sources. For example, if you are choosing the banking application for one single bank, we have multiple branches will be spread over. We are collecting the data from the multiple data sources to be poured into the one single data warehouse. That is called as data integration. The third one is data selection, where the relevant data needs to analyze it according to the task and retrieved from the databases. We need not to analyze all the data available in data warehouse. We need to choose the data only the particular column or row or particular columns, different columns together to do the analysis process, which is called as data selection. The fourth step is data transformation, where data are transformed and consolidated into forms appropriate for mining by performing summary or aggregation operations. The data must be transformed in order to understand the patterns in data analysis task, which is called as data transformation. The fifth important step is data mining. It is an essential process where intelligent methods are applied to extract the patterns. The patterns, for example, the buying patterns of market basket analysis, we can see that milk, bread, milk or coffee powder milk or sugar is buying together. We have to analyze the market basket, which two particular items, 2 or 3 particular products is buying frequently by means of the customers, and this combination will be considered for the mining process. We have to find out new patterns from these process, and which can be much helpful for the decision making. Then sixth step is pattern evaluation, to identify the truly interesting patterns which represents knowledge based interestingness measures. Seventh one is knowledge presentation, where visualization techniques, knowledge presentation techniques are used to present the mined knowledge to the end users. These end users are either the company or the government sector or the enterprise which we need to accomplish their task. Data mining on what kind of data? The data mining can be applied to wide variety of data types and sources. The choice of data type often depends on specific goals of the analysis and the domain in which it is being used. However, the overview of types of data that mining can be applied. First one, relational databases, which is the basic database management system. The system which is called as a relational database system, which include all the interrelated data called a database available stored in the table formation. A set of software programs can be applied to these relational databases to access and handle these data sets. Next is transactional database, where the transactional database includes a file where each record defines a transaction. A transaction generally contains a unique transaction ID, that is trans ID number, and it can be list of items creating up the transaction, that is, which means that items purchased in the store. So whenever we are purchasing particular product, the business warehouses will provide the bill or the transactional ID of money received or money giving. So that is called as a transactional database. Next is object relational database. Object relational databases are assembled based on object relational data model. This model continues a relational model by supporting a rich data type for managing complex objects and object orientation. Here the object specifies that either the row or column we have a field name. So the relationship between the different field name will be specified and extracted through this object relational databases. Next is a temporal database. Temporal database generally stores relational data which contains time related attributes. These attributes can include multiple timestamps, each having several semantics. For example, our weather data, which consisting of the time based datas. For example, in the morning time we have a different temperature. In the afternoon time we have the peak, and the night it may be down. So these each timestamp we have a different datas will be substituted for the attributes of a time related information. So not only that, if you have a sensor data, that is also based on the real time, which is being stored in the temporal database. Next is a sequence database. A sequence database stores sequence of ordered events with or without a factual idea of time. For example, customer shopping sequence, web click streams, and biological sequences. And also we can give an example as a human sequence database, date of birth, then schooling, then college, after some year your work joining and your milestones will be placed in a particular sequence. This is being called as a sequence database. Next is time series database. Time series database stores sequence of values or events accessed over repeated measurement of time, which means that either time, hourly, daily, weekly. An example, the data collected from stock exchange, stock control, and the measurement of natural phenomena like what we said, temperature, wind. Stock exchange, opening the market, your time series data will be high. After quite some time, when the new information reaches to stock exchange, the prices of the stocks may be varied. Like that, according to the time, the data will be changed, which is being called as a time series data. Summary. In this lecture series, we are seeing that introduction about data mining, why we need to study a data mining, and different sources available in data's KDD, knowledge discovery on data. And next class we are going to see about the applications of